Well, everybody's starting to pay attention to the polls now. The left is telling us that Joe Biden has a 25-point national lead over Donald Trump. No, not even close. The right is telling us it's a very tight race. Biden still has a slight edge, but it's tight. Nah, that's not accurate either, and I'll explain why. Hey, let me just say right at the outset, thank you so much for tuning in. I read your comments, so make sure you leave one. Hey, give us a thumbs up and a like. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Smack the bell and click the word all to get notification of my next rant. Let me say right at the outset, I am not an expert when it comes to doing the analysis of polling data. Now, there are people on the left and the right who are very good at it. And I would even say that there's some on the left, they're not biased. They are hired to do a job to make sense of the data. And I am not questioning all of them, what it is that they're seeing in the data. There are people on the right who examine polls, and they do vlogs and videos and commentary, and I don't doubt their ability. Here's what I doubt: the polls themselves. Have we learned nothing from 2016? You have got to throw the norms out. It isn't just that we are living in the new normal because of a made-up pandemic. No, nay. Everything is different since Donald Trump threw his hat in the ring and declared his candidacy back in 2015. Do you think that now, almost 4 years into the Trump administration, with the visceral hatred that the left and the media has stirred against this man 24/7, people are being doxxed, they are being outed online, they are being shamed, they are being ridiculed, driven out of restaurants, etc., etc., etc. You know, they're made to feel like that they're somehow involved in a domestic terrorist organization if they wear a MAGA hat. They're constantly being told by the media, by politicians, by everyone that they are bigoted, they are homophobic, they are this, they are that. Do you think that Trump supporters are actually answering any of these poll questions honestly? Seriously. Do you really think that the polls are actually reflecting the real attitude of America? That's one. Two, I'm an observer of people. I'm in the ministry. I counsel every day of my life, and I just observe people. I observe patterns and behavior. I told you a few weeks ago, and I'm sticking to it. There is going to be a Trump landslide. Now, we already see the narrative of how the left is going to try to discredit that, and that will, don't miss this, that will be the next big investigation. Oh, did Donald Trump win by a landslide? You know, what kind of collusion, what kind of cheating? And let me just say this. We may be watching the last actual free election in our nation's history. You know, for the past several years, we have been talking about how irrelevant the lying legacy, corporate, corrupt mainstream media is, and they've taken that very personal. They don't like being called the fake news. They don't like being told that they're irrelevant, that all the stuff that they do is of no consequence on the American psyche anymore. They're all in on the COVID concoction, and they know that their constant drumbeat and narrative is having a psychological effect on the nation, even among conservative people who say they don't believe this is a real pandemic, yet you see them running around in their masks, and I got to shop at 6 in the morning so I'm not around people, and to a certain level, they're buying into it. They don't like it, but they are buying into it. And let me tell you, the media does not want to be considered or thought of as irrelevant. And when Trump pulls off this landslide election, that's it. They will have spent 4 years of 24/7 negative news coverage, and you didn't listen to them. You didn't buy it. You didn't swallow it. So, going forward, the Democrats and the media will never, ever go into another election cycle not really knowing what the outcome is ahead of time. They're going to cook the books and do what they got to do and get through what they got to get through to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's a more extensive commentary to be developed at a later time. But I'm telling you, and I said weeks ago, that not only was Trump going to win in a landslide, he's going to win places like New York. And that is going to freak out Democrats. It's going to freak out Governor Cuomo, who is going to demand investigations. He'll even threaten to make sure that they do not officially sign off on the election results of New York. He'll fail at that, but he'll try. When Donald Trump received the New York Police Association endorsement, that was it. You're talking about, in New York City alone, 64,000 uniformed police officers, and they're all going to vote Trump. The entire police family, state, local, deputies, counties, all throughout the state, and all of their extended family, in-laws, outlaws, etc., they're going to vote Trump. He's going to flip New York. He's going to flip California. You are going to have, across this country, Democrats voting for Trump. The one concern that even the liberals have in looking in these polls, especially some of these early ballots that are in, well, that's an interesting thing because they're not actually counting votes yet. What they're doing is they're making an assumption that because, most of the mail-in ballots received thus far are Democratic, they're just assuming that the contents, it's an automatic vote for Trump? Or, I'm sorry, for Biden? I'm not buying it. And I'll explain that in a moment. What they are concerned with is a number of the independent ballots that are coming in, and they got a feeling that those are leaning Trump, which means Biden is doing well within the Democratic base. But so will Trump when the Republicans actually go to the polls. What is a little disconcerting is that Trump is doing real well among Latino voters, and my prediction is he will also do well among black voters. But he's also getting early results in from the independents. In other words, Trump is moving beyond his base. I'm also predicting that there are Democrats in places like California who love their liberalism and they love the idea of liberal utopia. They also look around and say, I want to be free. I want to go to the beach. I want to go get my hair cut. I want to sit and sip my latte and discuss my communistic ideals without this stupid mask on and all these mandates. I may hate the orange man, but by God, I'll be free. Click, and they're going to throw that lever for Donald Trump when they're alone in the booth or when they're alone in their home checking the Trump box in their ballot and mailing it in, even though it's coming in as Democrat. The people are going to open and go, what? They voted for Trump? I'm telling you, there's going to be a landslide for Trump because I'm an observer of people. And that brings me to the commissar himself, Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie's been out there, blazing the campaign trail for Joe Biden. But there's a problem. And again, you can't make this up. Compare this photo of Bernie Sanders, March 2020, before everything went into lockdown, Ann Arbor, Michigan. 10,000 people showed up to hear him give his socialist utopian speech. I mean, you talk about the momentum. Bernie Sanders had it. He had the crowds. He had the people. He gave people something to shout about. Now, he himself doesn't believe it. He sells out every campaign cycle. The guy who decries capitalism is a capitalist himself. How many homes is he up to now? How much money is he worth now? So there he is, 10,000 people at his rally. Here he is 2 weeks ago doing a Joe Biden rally, 10 people. 10 people. 10. And they didn't even have the little circles on the ground. It's 10 people. There is no groundswell of support. There is no excitement for Joe Biden. And I don't care what the so-called polls say. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and that is telling you all you need to know. Now, I'm not saying don't vote. Absolutely, go vote. But understand, there is no groundswell of support for Joe Biden. In fact, Bernie Sanders was doing a outdoor car rally for Joe, because, it gets embarrassing that there's no people that show up at any of Joe's events. So, we had this great idea. We'll do it like a drive-in movie. People just drive by and honk their horn if they're for Joe Biden, and I'll stand there and give a speech. Yeah, okay. Well, while he's standing there giving this speech to the honking horns of the drive-thru, a Trump supporter showed up and stole the show.
And when we increase that minimum wage to $15 an hour, we will be raising the wages of more than 40 million workers. The American people need a wage increase. They need a $15 an hour minimum wage, and that is what Joe Biden is proposing. And Joe Biden understands that it is totally
shut down the whole rally with one Trump flag. That's great. It's awesome. That was that. I mean, here is Bernie out there. He's given his, sleepwalking through his old talking points of $15 an hour, $15 an hour, free education, free. We're even going to make sure you get free Big Macs at McDonald's, free. And he's the singer who's lost the melody. He still remembers the lyrics, but he's just out there. He doesn't believe anything that he's saying. He knows nobody wants to support Joe Biden, and he's just, out there. Because, Joe can't go out of the house before noon, and he can't stay out past 4 in the afternoon. That's what you've got in a Joe Biden candidacy. And he's not going to answer any questions. He's not going to tell us, who he would put on the Supreme Court. He's not going to tell us if he'll pack the Supreme Court. We know what he's going to do. We know exactly what he's going to do. And trust me, the American people know what he's going to do. And they know that he is mentally not up to this. And I'm telling you, they're scared to death of Kamala Harris. I've talked to a number of people who hate Donald Trump, who are now going to vote for him. Wait, what? Yeah. They're now going to vote for him. Because nobody expects Joe Biden to even make it through his whole first term if they were able to steal this election and drag him across the finish line. And they sure don't want Kamala Harris being the commander-in-chief. So, that all said, don't get nervous about the polls or even the way they are presented by conservative media. You vote. You tell all your friends vote, and you talk up why they need to support Donald Trump, even if they're never Trumpers. What about the Supreme Court? Who do they want if something should happen to the president and he's incapacitated? Do they want it to be a President Harris or a President Pence? And I'm not a Pence guy, but this one doesn't even require thought. And by the way, that little stunt that Nancy Botox Pelosi pulled on Friday, we need to put a system in place for the 25th Amendment and getting rid of an incapacitated president. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I can't do that anymore. Because, see, Nancy does everything. I've got one today. Nancy does everything behind a mask. And I guess that's okay because now I don't have to watch her doing the whole stroke mouth thing. Of course, wearing this mask You can't understand a freaking word I'm saying. Honestly, I am so sick and tired of the photo op and the whole setup and the running around in mass. Just stop, 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 stop. By the way, when President Trump secures the re-election, you're going to watch all this